Jason La Canfora, CBS Sports NFL Insider. Jay, before we get to a few of the things I mentioned before, Big Ben, Des Bryant, what in the world is going on in San Francisco? Because now there's like 3 or 4 different versions. Vernon Davis called out Cap, and then he said, no, I didn't do that. And one report said that he had a fight with Staley, and then he said, no. What's going on?
Well, this is what I can tell you about that situation. I reported probably 3 or 4 weeks ago that Vernon Davis was available, that Vernon Davis was open to a trade. Vernon Davis actually hoped to be traded, and Vernon Davis had a frayed relationship with Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick, he kind of beats to his own drummer, and he'll be walking through the hall sometimes, and he'll have his Beats by Dre, headphones on, and he'll be bopping around, and it's to some of the veterans, it just appears like he's in his own world, and he's almost cut off from them. And the whole idea of having an interplay throughout the day or running ideas by him and, just kind of bumping him into the hallway and what do you think of this, what do you think of that? It's just kind of not there. And that I was hearing that, back then when Vernon was still banged up and wasn't playing, that he had kind of had enough of it and that this thing may come to a head. There was obviously some sort of argument. Whether it got physical or not, I don't know. But these seeds have been sowed for a while there. And there's a lot of frustration. Things have changed immensely. You got to take everything straight up to the owner. He decided to take his franchise back. He did not want, it wasn't fun winning with Jim Harbaugh anymore, so let me lose on my own terms.
Yeah, right.
How's that going for you?
Yeah, you're right.
So that, it's all systemic and systematic of that the frayed culture. And Tom Sula, he's caught in the wash. Vince Lombardi's not coming in there and changing that thing this year. I mean, they are a team in decline. They're open to moving some people before the deadline, and I wouldn't be shocked if they were able to move an offensive lineman or two, or maybe a Vernon Davis. They got to load up on picks, and Trent Baalke better start hitting on them like he did 3 or 4 years ago, or the hole will only get deeper there.
Yeah, no, you mentioned the trades here. We had a bunch of them before the season started, and Jimmy Graham and LaShawn McCoy and a few others, Haloti Nada. But we haven't had that many in season, even though there's been many rumors. And Matt Forte, you just mentioned Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
Roddy White could be on the move. Is anything going to happen before November 3rd?
History would tell us nothing significant. Now, they've moved the deadline back a few years ago, and people seem to be settling into that. We've got the haves and the have-nots this year to a degree that I don't think we have. I mean, this whole idea of parity, if you're really watching every week.
No, there's no parity.
There's 5 really good teams, 3 other pretty good teams, a couple of teams that aren't totally awful, and then half the league that's just pleased. So, I think there's only 17 teams in the league, guys, that have won back-to-back games.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
Barely more than half the league has managed to win 2 straight weeks. So I would, you talk to GMs and you talk about all that stuff, and they say there's been more chatter than in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But how many owners will will reach into their pockets for another $3 or $4 million after they've already set their budgets? And there's this matter of, is this guy a scheme fit? And they talk themselves out of it. Oh, I'll be second guessed if I do it. It's easier to do nothing than do something and have it blow up on you. But saying all that, I'd like to think there's a move or two. There's some teams. You mentioned Atlanta with Roddy White. I don't look at them as sellers. I look at them as buyers. What if they
that's a
added
good point.
Jared Cook or Vernon Davis, someone to open? We know what Matt Ryan's done in the past with our colleague Tony Gonzalez. And not that any of these guys are Tony, but they need some. Jacob Tammy's not the answer at tight end. They need to unlock that passing game a little bit more. Pass rushers, they're kind of plug and play. Running backs, I think there's potential for more of these moves than people give it credit for, but guys have to start being forward-thinking and not just sitting there saying, well, we've never done this before, or we don't want people to think we're giving up on the season. Bro, it's November. You got to win. You got 2 wins. It speaks for itself. You better start selling the future.
Wow, La Canfora is fired up today. I love it. Good stuff, Jay.
He's right, though.